Hello there! A lot of my paintings are of imaginary places, places that only exist in my head, but my imagination is just as important when I'm painting a real place, even more so if it's somewhere special. So today I'm going to chat a little bit about a picture of a very, very real place that is of somewhat incredibly special to me. And that's this one here, and it's called The Restless Ghosts. And it's a picture of a small cove in Cornwall, somewhere that is really incredibly special and precious to me. It's somewhere I spend many, many hours just sitting, watching the sea. And I've hung these small pieces of work either side of two other places that are also very special to me. This one here is called Where the Spirit Soars, and it's of a lovely old oak tree along a lane where I used to ride my horse. And this particular tree is featured in several of my paintings. It really is a gorgeous old tree. And this one here is called the Stone Crown, and this one's of Castlerigg Stone Circle in the English Lake District. Of course, Castlerigg, wild, wonderful, magical place. I'm sure everybody would agree if you visited it. Certainly for me, it's one of my favourite stone circles, and again, somewhere I've painted many, many times. But this one here is so special for so many reasons, both the picture and the place, and not least because it's the sea. I really love the sea, it's very important to me, and I love to paint it. A couple of years ago, I did a picture of the sea called The Ghosts Who Sit Upon Imaginary Thrones. And in a way, that picture was the sister picture to this one here, The Restless Ghosts. The Ghosts Who Sit Upon Imaginary Thrones is actually also the title of one of my poems. I write quite a lot of poetry, and when I'm sat there, watching the sea, watching the waves, I think about all sorts of things, but I quite often find myself thinking about those I love who are no longer with me, people, animals, all sorts of things, and they are the ghosts. And these ghosts, these memories, they come, they go, washed in and out as the waves come and go. And the waves are the thrones, the pedestals that I put these ghosts on. And shortly after I finished that piece of work, I did another one, again along the ghosts sort of theme. And this one was called When All the Ghosts Ride In. And it was done at a very hectic time, lots of busy things, very busy moment. And I wanted it to be a busy picture, so I did this huge arc made up of lots of tiny little waves to sort of represent that, if you like, when all the ghosts ride in at once. But this one here is, I don't know, this is more emotional, more intense, a piece of work, I would say. And I did it last year, and last year was a very, very odd, very strange year, and very chaotic, very hectic. Lots and lots of things happened, lots of amazing, wonderful things, and also lots of very, very sad, upsetting things happened. And I know you get years like that, every year is a mixture, but sometimes you get one where it's just too much. There is too much going on, too much of both of them, and it's almost overwhelming, you just want to stop. And of course I spent an awful lot of time locked in my studio, so there I was locked away in my studio, and I found myself working on this. And no moonlight, no sunset, no earthlight, just grey. And I really wanted to work in these grey tones, the bluey greys, the greeny greys, the brown greys. And I didn't want a dramatic sea, I just wanted a restless sea. I wanted the sea to be almost like when your head is too full of thoughts and they crash into one another and there isn't enough space in your head for all of them. And that's kind of what I wanted the sea to reflect. So I had a little study of the cove, and I used that, and then I just let my imagination loose, and I made up the sea. So lots of turmoil, lots of busy water, pushing in every direction, jostling for space in this cove. And I really did want to capture the way you get these lovely patterns on the surface of the sea from the foam, almost like lace. But no beach, just the sea and the sky, and then these stark black rocks, and then these cliffs either side. And actually that is our nickname for this picture, stark. We call it stark. And it is quite a stark piece of work, really. I said earlier that I liked grey and that I wanted to work in these grey tones. And I do. I absolutely adore grey and I love to work in it. But of course grey is also the colour most associated with ghosts, with spirits, with the underworld, with the otherworld. And I do like to try and capture the otherworldly feel in my landscapes and of course my seascapes. But for me, grey is also a very powerful colour. It's a colour that I always think amplifies and intensifies things. It focuses the mind, it focuses emotions in a way that brighter colours don't. And I also find that for me, grey is a colour that really makes me concentrate, makes me think, makes me use my little grey cells, as Poirot would say. Now, whilst I was working on this piece of work, I did work very intensely on it and I made myself rather unwell. And I do that sometimes. I tend to overdo things. I don't stop for breaks. I don't have a rest. And I know it's a very, very bad thing to do. But for me, I just get swept along with the piece of work and I don't stop for breaks and everything else is surplus to requirements. And, you know, it's you kind of get enveloped by the piece of work. And I think most artists would agree with me. Art is like that sometimes. It is an emotional roller coaster. And sometimes the more intense, more dramatic, draining pieces of work can end up being the most rewarding. I probably shouldn't say this because artists are not really, I know we're not really meant to say that we love our own work, but I really, really do love this piece of work. It means a lot to me. Not only because of what it took out of me and the work I had to put into it, because actually whilst I was working on it, there were moments when I really hated it, and there were a couple of times where it came very close to being destroyed. But I love it now because I look at it, now it's finished, and when I look at it, I can hear the sea, I can smell it, I can feel the spray, and I'm sat there with my partner and we're looking at the tide, watching the tide come in. And maybe other people will be able to feel a little bit of that when they look at this piece of work. I am working on another picture of this particular place at the moment, so we'll have to see how that one goes. But thank you again for joining me and listening, and hopefully I'll see you sometime soon. Okay, bye bye.